I was surprised at why I didn't know what
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, before we begin, I want to give the Sumter School District employees a round of applause for putting this together this evening in a fairly short order. As you can tell, the air conditioning is just now beginning. Thank you. I'm told the air conditioning will get better as the minutes go by, so just be appreciative of that. Welcome to the Board of Trustees special meeting here at Alice Drive Middle School. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified, and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. If we could all now just join in a meditative thought followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll now call for the approval of our agenda from my fellow board members. So we'll have a first from Reverend McGee. Do I hear a second? Ms. Jackson is seconded. All in favor of the approval of our agenda by a show of hands, please. Let the record reflect that vote is unanimous. I'll now entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion of employment matters and receipt of legal advice.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we move into executive session.
Second. I have both the first and second, Reverend McGee and Mr. Addison, all in favor of going into executive session by a show of hands, please. We stand adjourned for the executive session.
Assume the position, sir.
Good evening. At this point, I want to entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we come out of executive session.
I have a first.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor of coming out of executive session? Let the record reflect that vote is unanimous. Thank you for your presence at our board meeting this evening and for your obvious interest in our school district. I wish to inform the public and our district staff that the board has mutually agreed with Mr. Bynum that he may take unused vacation leave beginning tomorrow, July 30th, through August 30th, provided that he remain reasonably available by telephone to the board and district staff for any necessary consultations. I'll now entertain any motions from a result of executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Dr. J. Frank Baker to serve as interim/acting superintendent with terms and contractual details to be negotiated upon his acceptance.
Second.
By a show of hands, all in favor of that motion? Oh, hold on.
Got a motion on the table, Mr. Chair. Yes, you have to carry it. You got a motion and a second. Parliamentary procedures says you have a motion and a second on the table.
Mr.
You
Chair,
have to carry the motion.
Mr. Chair, I can offer an amendment.
I'm sorry?
I can offer an amendment. There's a motion on the floor. Just like to insert the acting or interim shall not be considered or for the permanent superintendency and serves at the pleasure of the board.
I'm going to consult with a legal attorney at this point to see if that's a legal amendment.
You can do that.
I understand that the amendment from Mr. Addison is proper and that we should vote on that first. Would you restate your amendment?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to insert as First Amendment that the interim / acting shall not be considered for the permanent job of superintendent, and he serves at the pleasure of the board.
Do I need a first and a second for that amendment?
Second. If it dies.
The motion dies, Mr. Chair.
It does not need a second. 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 There's an amendment on the floor to vote, and would you read it one more time?
Mr. Chair, I insert that the interim or acting shall not be considered as a permanent superintendent, and he serves at the pleasure of the board.
All of those in favor by a show of hands, please.
You got to call for a second vote
The other.
for the other.
And we'll vote on
No,
that.
no, the first, do what we're doing now, the amendment first.
We're voting on the amendment presented by Mr. Addison. Are we all in agreement on what we're voting on?
You're voting on the amendment only, then you will vote on the first motion.
And that is my understanding. Yes. Mr. Chair, can I just explain the amendment if necessary? I'm only saying that the interim or acting superintendent shall not be considered for the permanent job. And as interim or acting, he serves at the pleasure of the board. We decide when he's or she is no longer needed as acting or interim. That's all I'm amending.
All right, by a show of hands, how are we voting? Those in favor of Mr. Addison's amendment? Let the record reflect that that vote is 4-3. Am I right?
Now vote on the main.
I vote on the main
And
motion.
we now move to Reverend McGaney's motion. And if you will reread it again, please, it is my understanding that we have a second.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we appoint Dr. J. Frank Baker to serve as interim / acting superintendent with terms and contractual details to be negotiated upon his acceptance. And we have a second already from Ms. Mahalik.
All in favor of Reverend McGaney's motion by a show of hands, please. Let the record reflect that that vote is 5-2. I now entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I move.
Oh, please, Mr. Yes, Reverend McGaney.
Chairman.
Reverend McGaney.
As much as you call for a vote, you have to call for a vote for delays as well. I'd like to register my no.
Yeah.
All right, please forgive me. My apologies, hopefully you accept my apologies. All those not in favor of Reverend McGaney's motion for Dr. J. Frank Baker, please raise your hands. Let the record reflect that that vote is 5-2. We stand. I'll now entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by a show of hands for adjournment, please raise your hands. We stand adjourned.